Alright, this is Alex's189. Today I'm going to do something a little bit new. I'm going to go over how to actually import assets from the Planetside 2 game into a program like 3ds Max, so you can make stuff like this. If you don't recognise this, it's from a video I posted a few months ago. That's a rendered screenshot from it. I'll post the actual video itself in the description below, and you guys can go check that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set it out in a bunch of tutorials going over how to import assets, apply the correct materials to them, apply the glow effects that the Planetside 2 game kind of loves, and I'll go over how to rig up vehicles as well, like this Vanguard here, like that. Like so. So you can actually have it aim where you want it to aim, as well as easy controls for the vehicle, for the wheels, as you can see there. And I might even go over how to quickly add a custom decal onto it as well, if I have time. In this first lesson, however, I'll go over the basics on how to import models into. I'll use 3ds Max as an example because that's the one I know, so you guys can go off and make your own stuff if you feel like doing it and you didn't know how to before. So yeah, first thing you're going to need is, if I load it up, which I should have loaded before, come on, Planetside 2 obviously, and in particular you're going to need these assets here. But you don't need to copy them out of the game. You will not get banned for it. At least I hope you won't get banned for it, because I certainly didn't, and Sony knows that I do this because they've commented on my stuff enough. And the other tool you're going to need is a tool called Planetside 2, well, PS2LS, and I'll put a link for that in the description. It was made by Colin Bassett shortly after launch. This is the forum post right here. I'll put these both in the description so you guys can go check them out. Also, Roy Awesome worked on another version which I personally do not use, and which you can find here on GitHub. I'll post a link for that as well in the description. So yeah, what you want to do, you want to just go ahead and download it, and once you unzip it, which I'll bring up here, it will appear here. You'll get these files. All you have to do is run it. I'll run it as administrator. Your one should say, would you like to open the Planetside 2 resources, not Planetside 2 test? But it doesn't matter, click yes anyway. I'm going to click no and open up the actual game assets to show you how to do that. If it doesn't load it up automatically, just simply click this button, add packs, and you'll see here I've got my Planetside 2 installed and users public Sony Online Entertainment installed games, Planetside 2 test, resources and assets. That's the test one. I want to load up the actual game itself, which for most of you and myself, it will be installed on C, users, public, Sony Online Entertainment, installed games, Planetside 2, resource, and then you want to go to resources, assets, and load up these assets. There you go, and these assets will be loaded, and in them will contain all the sound files, textures, and other data that I use to run the game. What we are interested in right now is the models, which are saved in a DME format, as you can see here, and the textures are in, I believe it might be DDS or it might be TGA, I can't remember exactly. One second, find another one I know. The textures are saved in DDS, as you can see here. So that's the DDS, that's the DMA, so that's a model, that's a texture. And the sound files are in FSB. I've tried converting some of them work, some of them don't. I'm not sure why, but you can find converters on the internet somewhere, but only some of the sound files actually work. Anyway, we are interested in the model browser, so in the model, so we'll go on to the model browser, and in here, if you have all the assets loaded, you can browse for all the models. For example, these grassy overhangs here for the Amrish assets, or some ice, the actual characters themselves. Now, one thing to note, these characters do not have a bone structure, they are not rigged. If you want to use these for character animations, you have to make the rigs yourself. I had to make my own. Well, there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube itself to actually do that. I will not be sharing my ones because, well, I could potentially get banned for it, so I don't really want to get banned from my favourite game for sharing assets in it. But there's plenty of tutorials out there to make your own, and I know I've made some. If another channel, Moukass, he's made some, and his are actually a lot better than mine. I'll be honest, 'cause he's a lot better here than I am. I'll put a link to his channel down below because he makes some really cool stuff. Anyway, so what you want to do is just look for it and find the models you want. Say for example we wanted, I don't know, let's find a good one. Now that was boring. Let's find a part that isn't in the game yet. Something fun. Ooh, I know one. Vehicle common. Let's import a recon drone. These aren't in the game yet, so let's import one of them because they're fun. So if you want to import a model, you simply click export selected models. You can do them all by selecting the top one, scrolling down to the bottom, holding shift and selecting them all, and you can export them all. You can do it that way. It does take a while. It's what I did initially, so I'm only doing one. And you can also search. For example, common. No, bring up all the common pieces. What did I want? I wanted a recon drone, didn't I? There you go. Recon drone, base chassis. So to export it, you just simply click export selected models. You want to export the model, you want to export the textures. It makes it easier to choose which one goes on which. It takes up more space, so if you have the space to spare, you might as well export the textures as well. That way you can easily sort it out and figure out what goes where. Model assets, we'll set that to 3ds max because we're using 3ds max. Model scale we'll leave on 1, and we want to package them. What packaging will do, it'll put the model and the textures in its own folder. Say for example I have my model, exported models set in this folder here, and you can see I've got all my models in separate folders. Now to export it, you just simply find the folder you want to. In this case I'll go for export, which is in my 3ds max documents, and you just click OK, and it'll export it. Simple as. You can export all of them at once if you want to. Okay, now let's get on to the fun stuff. Actually importing the model into 3ds max. So I'll create a new scene. Now the following is my personal workflow for this. Everyone will have different ways of doing it. This is just the way I do it. So if somebody tells me I'm wrong, it's just the way I do it. So, well, I could be wrong, but I don't care. It's just the way I do it. So let's load up my wherever you exported your models to. In my case it was in this very messy folder. And there's a good one with the shields I quite like. It'll be a good example. I'll just, if you're not sure, if you look for something in particular, I just use the PSLS search thing because it's actually better than the Microsoft one for finding stuff. So for example I'll use the, there we go, common props snap on. I'll gate shield emitter. Gate shield emitter single. That's a nice one. Gate shield emitter single. Okay. Now if you go into the folder, you'll see you got a .obj file and a bunch of DDS files. What will the .obj is the actual model file, so we'll import that. Just drag and drop into the viewport, and that's it. That's the gate shield emitter there. Now, there's a slight problem with the exporter. I don't know if it's fixed in later versions, but the version I use, it's a little bit broken. As you can see here, the vertices are not welded. At least not all of them are. So we need to fix that. And you can't select different elements. Like the elements only selects polygons, or a couple of polygons at a time. So that needs to be fixed. So what we'll do is select all the vertices. Set the weld to 0.001 and just click on selected. This will weld all the vertices that are in the same position. So if I just undo that, I'll show you. For here, for example, there's two vertices in the same place. Look. So let's zoom in a little. See here? See, there's two vertices in the same place. So just press Ctrl A, select all the vertices by selecting the vertex under the selection in the edit menu. So, well, modify menu, shall I say? So modify menu, edit or mesh, select vertices. So the weld to 0.001 because for some reason you cannot put 0. See? And just weld selected. Done. So that's the model fixed. And now we don't have two vertices in the same place. So that's good. Now what we'll do is we're going to add a material to this. So let's open up the material editor. I'll just empty all these. Now this is a gate shield. There are two ways of doing this, but if you look at the gate shield emitter in game, you'll see that it's got glowy bits on it. Now if I were to just use a standard material, I'll show you what that looks like now. So if we load up our thing, if we load up the folder with the stuff in it, the C is the diffuse, the N is the normal or bump map, S is the specular map, DS I don't really use because I'm not sure what that's used for, so I just leave that out. It looks good enough without it anyway. So if I import the diffuse map, the normal map, and the specular map, and I'll make the material editor bigger. Now it's just simply plug it in to the editor. So diffuse map, I'll come back to the specular map, and bump map. Okay, and that's the material there. Now the specular map has different parts to it. As you can see, there's different colours on it. There's a bit of blue, there's a bit of red, there's a bit of green. Those are all values for the different red, green and blue channels. So what we're going to need to bring in is a RGB tint. So if you just search RGB in the material map browser here, and then bring in RGB tint there, and just bring that in, you can select the different values. So in this one I'll make the red channel white, the green channel black, and the blue channel black. That'll filter out just the red channel, which can be seen here. I'll do the same with this, except I'll set the green to white. Oops. So red to black, green to white. There you go. And do the same here with the blue. Okay. Now these three channels are used for, I believe the red is used for the glossiness, the green channel is used for the specular level, and the blue channel is used for self-illumination or glow. So what I'll do is I'll put these into specular level. So the green is specular, red is glossiness. You can see the material changing as I put values in, look. Just watch. See it change? Very subtly. So specular level, glossiness, and the blue channel is self-illumination. You set the self-illumination ticket. Make sure that you don't select any polygons, because if I had a polygon selected on here, if I were to apply a material, it would apply material to that just one polygon, which is pointless. So just make sure it's just the create menu is selected, or there's no polygon selected. Select that and just click apply material. And there you go, that's the material applied. Now if I were to render this, I'll just add a quick light to the scene, so I'll just add an omni light. Like so. I'll do. Just do a quick render. There you go, that's it imported. And if I just do it at this side so you can see the self-illuminated parts, which don't appear to be showing. Not good. Let's deselect colour, set to 100. No, not that either. Why is this not working? Oh, now it's working. There we go. As you can see here, it is actually working. I was just being a moron. So if I render it again on this side, there you go. Now as you can see, the self-illuminated parts aren't that bright. So say you got a nighttime scene, you want those to really, if you want to look like it's add a glow effect, you want it to really glow. As you can see, if I render this, it's just kind of, just sitting there. It's just, you can see it in the dark. It doesn't actually glow, it's not shining, so to speak. So to change that, what we're going to do is make sure the render is set onto mental ray. So to do that, you go into render setup, common, assign renderer, NVIDIA mental ray and NVIDIA IRA. Scroll, and then you head over to the renderer tab, scroll down to output, and then make sure default output shaded glare is selected. If it's not, you just simply click on it, and then it's under maps, mental ray, glare. And then to change the parameters of it, simply drag and drop into the material editor and make sure it's an instance and click OK. I'm going to click cancel because I've already got one. What I do personally, I set the quality to 4, spread 0.6-ish, it depends what I'm doing, and the resolution to 1500. Again, it depends on what needs doing. I'm just going to minimize these. Okay. Now, to create a glow effect, since the standard material is not bright enough, we're going to bring in an architectural material. Seen here. Bring these down. So what we'll do is we'll just plug up our things again. So diffuse, shininess is the specular level map. Bump map goes into bump map again. Luminance goes into the self-illumination map, and this second RGB tint for glossiness goes into translucency, I believe. We'll see how it looks anyway. Next, what you want to do is double click on the architectural material. I set the diffuse color to black and transparency to make sure it's 0. Index of refraction set to 1, so it doesn't refract at all. Luminance set to whatever value you want. The higher it is, the more intense it is. I'll just go for 300, and you can see it change on there. So I've set to 1. It goes down to what it's like if it's self-illumination. I set it to 300, so it actually looks like it's glowing. And you can also set up advanced lighting, so these actually radiate light, although I never use this because it affects render times quite severely. So if I render again, oh, I forgot to set the material. So then you apply your material, show it in viewport, you'll see in the shaded one, if you have the viewport set to shaded or realistic, it will be it'll be really shiny. To fix this, just set your viewport to consistent colours, and that'll put it back. Now if I render again, it appears to glow. There's actually a very slight glare coming off it, so if I render it on the lit side, you can still see the shining parts quite easily. And you can see with the glare turned on, it glows. So if I get up close, render it again, you can see the glow. There you go. Now if I were to turn glare off, render again, you see that there's no glare, so it doesn't actually appear to glow. You can see the comparison here. See the difference? It's very subtle, but it looks better. Okay. So 9 times out of 10, I'd use an architectural material over a standard material, because the output it's just better. Okay, and then you just want to name it to say, in this case the material is called Facility Walls New Tower, so I just call this Fat Wall for Facility Wall underscore Tower. Click enter and that'll change the material. Another thing to note is when you import your meshes, it sets to mesh 0, so in this case it's gate shield emitter single. There you go. And that's how you import stuff from Planetside 2 into 3ds Max. And after that you can save it, use it later, so you can just drag and drop. For example, what I did, if I load up one, I've got it in scenes, structures, we'll bring in that one. You can import it and merge, and there you go on here. So you can just drag and drop later without having to change the material, or you can just add it as you need it. But yeah, that's how you import stuff into 3ds Max. Next time I'll go over how to make a basic tank rig, which I'll quickly show you. Vehicles, NC Vanguard. In fact, no. I'll go over how to make a okay. Yeah, I'll go over how to make a basic Vanguard rig. As you can see here, we've got the parent, wheels, and this. Although this, doesn't go left and right, it goes up and down. And then this controls rotation. And you got headlights. And in the next tutorial, I'll go over how to make a rig turret as well. For example, I'll load up this dual spears, where it's static, but it's rigged. Because the principles are the same, so I'll go over how to do both of those in the next tutorial. Yeah, see you next time.